We had just gotten married. I was 300 pounds, alcoholic, addictive sports gambler, smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Just know that it's okay to be where you are. It's not okay to stay there. The number one way to start your transformation is actually identifying where you are. Where we are is an accumulation of all of the decisions that we've made up until today. You can very quickly get to a different perspective, turn around, look back, and see how far you've come to have a different perspective on the next mountain to climb. I want you to write down 5 people you want to meet.
Always my encouragement is to go out and push through the demons that you have or the stuff that's weighing you down.
That decade, the next 10 years is going to go by so fast. Yes. And it's going to go by whether you like it or not. So you might as well buckle down and do the work and enjoy it because it's going to happen.
What's up, community? It's Jessica Nieto, your host of the Reveal podcast. Welcome back to another exciting episode. Today, we have a truly phenomenal guest joining us, Matt Plumer. Matt has transformed the lives of hundreds and hundreds of real estate agents and entrepreneurs by helping them find financial freedom and build lasting wealth. And I'm thrilled to introduce Matt. He is an expert financial and business coach, national speaker, and author who has dedicated his career to guiding people out of financial disorganization and debt into a life of peace, prosperity, and stress-free wealth. Matt's approach is all about simplifying the complicated, helping you find a starting point, building awareness so you know how to take the first step, and has truly helped entrepreneurs get financially organized, teaching them how to not just survive, but thrive as an entrepreneur. So if you're tired of living transaction to transaction, you're feeling like you're constantly hustling and not seeing any profit, or if you're just ready to create a business that funds your dream life, this episode is made just for you. And Matt's here to share his journey, his wisdom, and a step-by-step plan that can completely transform your financial future. So get ready to take some notes because this episode is truly a masterclass. Let's dive into the powerful conversation with Matt Plumer. Matt Plumer, welcome to the Reveal podcast studio. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you and share your brilliance with the industry. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks for having me. This is so awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. So we have to share the story. The last time I saw you was on a plane, and that's where we met. First class, we were cruising through the air. I think one of us had EXP socks on or something EXP. I can't remember what it was that we had that connection. But yeah, great to see you again. And in the short time that I've known of you, haven't gotten to know you well yet, you have invited me to some amazing workshops that you've put on. A couple of my team members plugged in. Just come from contribution. You're solving problems in the industry, helping real estate agents not just share how many listings they have and how much money they made, but actually help them be profitable, build legacy and wealth. So we're going to jump right in with you, Matt. I'm super excited for you to be here. Tell us a little bit about Matt right now. Like what's going on in your world and what are you focused on?
So right now, my wife and I, we live in Las Vegas, and I am focused and committed on leading real estate agents to create stress-free wealth. And I do that through a couple of different platforms, one-on-one, grid, obviously in relationship, people that are in our EXP organization and EXP family, and leading from the front on the message of helping agents uncover the two things that bring the most stress and anxiety to them. I think it's so important, especially in this season of real estate, is that we congratulate people for the work that they're doing, but also identifying that the things that are actually bringing the stress and anxiety is inconsistent income and financial disorganization. So if we can fix those two things, or when we fix those two things, you can definitely get on the path to stress-free wealth much more efficient.
I love that. So you talk about is there an average if someone really puts in the work and they start creating those new habits? Some agents that I talk to, they overcomplicate it. They look at the whole mountain. Like, how can I get on track? How can I get more organized? How can I get my finances in order so I can start investing, get my taxes taken care of? Feel like I'm not living transaction to transaction. Is it a mountain that they have to move, Matt? Or can you walk us through, like, how soon can someone get started to start alleviating some of that stress from their lives?
With any transformation, regardless of where you're starting, I think it's so important to understand and be real and honest with yourself, right?
Mm.
And just know that it's okay to be where you are. It's not okay to stay there. And so writing down and like understanding exactly what are the truths and the facts of today, right? How many closings, how much money you make, how much money you have in the bank, how much money you owe, how much you weigh, how many dates you go on with your spouse, how many rounds of golf you played, whatever the facts are that are important to you, write them down. And that's the number one way to start your transformation is actually identifying where you are. It's transformational in itself. It'll do 50% of the heavy lifting because then if you could just take like the next side step is not blaming or shaming yourself for where you are. And I think too many people stay in that mud in the muck, right? Quote unquote, they stay in the poopy diaper because it's warm and it's theirs. And they just don't want to leave and they'll just sell another house and they'll do another referral or maybe they'll pick up another lead generation system or whatever it might be to make them feel good. When ultimately, if you just look at the brass tacks and say, hey, this is where I am, this is where I want to go. The next best thing for me to do is cut 10% of expenses, make 10% more phone calls. It's such an easy step. And then as that compounds, as it has in my weight loss journey and in our financial journey, and spiritual journey, you can't climb the mountain all at one time. However, you can very quickly get to a different perspective, turn around, look back and see how far you've come to have a different perspective on the next mountain to climb.
That in itself is a masterclass on where to get started. I know that so many agents or entrepreneurs will just stick to entrepreneur. They want to overcomplicate it because they don't understand that just sitting with that problem and creating awareness is the beginning. There's no book, there's nothing, there's no one that can help you until you know where you are. I talk with my team about how many business days we have. And so December 20th, I always look at it like the end of the year for me. Most of my institutional clients, like they're done for the year. They're blackout period or people are talking about Christmas and everything else. You're not closing any more houses by the end of the year. So it's 60 business days as of today, September 26th.
And you want to even hear something scarier along that line of mindset thinking?
And
especially in the world of real estate, December 20th is the last business day of the year. However, like you sign a contract, what's today? The 6th to 26th. You go on a buyer agreement, you go on a buyer appointment today. What are the chances they actually close in 2024?
Pretty much, it's very close to zero, actually.
So is it actually December 26th or is it like October 1st is the end of the year?
So here's the interesting part. Yeah, exactly.
We're looking through the board instead of at the board. If we look at the odds that we want to create is 2025 actually starts in 6 minutes. As soon as we're off this podcast, 2025 starts.
No, it does. And here's the other thing that we talked about this morning was that there's actually 85 days, though, 85 days total, which gives you 25 days until December 25th or December 20th that are weekends or holidays, etc. 25 days. That's almost like half of what you have in business days. Yeah. So what are you going to be intentional about how you spend those days? So Matt, share with us if you were stuck in chaos and trying to thrive in the next 85 days, what would you do with those 25 days as an agent in a mess? Like a couple activities, you're talking about reflection. What else? This is a service you provide. So say you intake a new client today, give us like behind the scenes, like 1 or 2 things that you would task them with to help them set themselves up and get started with a profitable 2025.
Yeah, 100%. So going from that awareness, because I don't want us to just leave ourselves in the mess, right? I want us to start to create that transformation. So once you write down, and there's no shame, no blame, no guilt, this is where we are, right? Because where we are is an accumulation of all of the decisions that we've made up until today. Back.
Ooh. Say that again, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so the next step is now you have to make a decision. I've lost 100 pounds and I'm a professional at losing 20. I probably have lost 20 pounds 20 times.
Wow, isn't that amazing?
Lose 20, gain 25. Lose 25, gain 30. It's just the dieting turned into your lifestyle for us. And so you have to make that decision that today, and we have, call it 90 days between now and the end of the year.
Sure.
If you don't like the way that you look or feel today, physically, you can lose 25 pounds by Christmas, but you've got to make a decision. Like you can pay off $20,000 worth of debt by Christmas, but you got to make a decision. You got to post on Facebook every day. You got to make a decision to make phone calls every day. You have to make that decision. And that's the most important part, but it's also the fastest. It's just a decision. It's just like, I'm going to pay off 20 grand by the end of the year. I'm going
to do what is required.
I'm going to pay off. Not only am I going to pay off 20 grand, I'm going to go on a $5,000 vacation to Cabo because I pay off $25,000 or $20,000 worth of debt. Because that's going to be my reward. And so now it comes to intentionality of, hey, where do I need to be intentionally focused on one or two key things over these next 90 days to ensure that I lose 25 pounds and I make an extra 20,000 to pay towards my American Express bill or to pay the government from 2022 or whatever it might be. So, that awareness to transformation can happen so fast if you don't get distracted and you don't look at shiny objects and you don't worry about the noise or the things or where you are. And it's going to be so hard for so many people because of what's going to happen on November 5th. It's going to happen. You get one vote. You don't get 81 million votes. You get one, right? And whatever happens, but that cannot distract you from paying off $25,000 worth of debt and going to Cabo first class because you did it.
Yeah, baby. So take me to the darkest day where you made your decision. Help the entrepreneur understand like that they're there and that doesn't have to get worse.
So I'd made some massive decisions in my life. However, the one that's most public, the one that I share the most is Melinda's on one side of the counselor's couch. I'm on the other. We have been married 14 months. We've been together at that point, almost 13 years. We had just gotten married and I was 300 pounds, alcoholic, addictive sports gambler, smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day on the counselor's couch, blaming her for everything that I am. And she's crying. I'm mad because I got drugged to the very specific question. He said, Matt, can you go 90 days without a drink? And I don't know. I know exactly what I said. We're going to keep it clean for your podcast, but I can go sober and nothing's going to change. And in that moment, I realized I was looking external, not internal.
Wow.
And so
it was an internal discovery.
It was, and so I did not want to stop drinking. I didn't want to stop gambling. I sure as hell didn't want to stop smoking cigarettes, but I knew I didn't fit on the couch. I knew I had lost weight in the past. I knew at some point I could create a physical transformation, and getting off the couch and seeing the wins on the scale, 293, 289, 286, 284, on and on, earned me enough courage to not drink as much because I was pissed away. I was so pissed not showing up 7 days sober. It was always 1 day or 2 days. It wasn't ever 7 and then 14. And so those decisions in that time of just like this great despair, because I woke up one day after that had happened and I hadn't started losing weight, but the moment that it all changed, it was March 17th, 2010. I'll never forget that day in my life. I had just gone on a 2-day bender of sports betting and gambling and drinking and who knows what else. And I woke up that morning, I left my car at the bar. And the first thing, after ignoring my wife for 48 hours, the first thing I said to her was, can you take me to the pub to get my car? And I saw life just fall out of her body. And at that moment, I knew I had to change. I just didn't know what it was going to be. And 90 days later, I'd lost some weight and so on and so forth and became sober. I haven't drank since since May 19th. Haven't placed a bet since June 2nd, 2010. And it accumulated to what today and who you hear today.
Yeah. So I think there's a level of, like you say, you can change today or one decision away, or maybe one question away, or just having that internal discovery. But I think the other component of it that I'm sure maybe you could share a little bit about is, how do you forgive Matt from the day before? Is that part of your journey now? Because Matt wasn't all bad.
So I have definitely forgiven myself. As soon as we make the mistake and we repent, like it's zero again. There is no scoreboard. And so it was pretty easy for me to forgive myself and to forgive others. It was as I was making significant transformations, the wins that were piling up, that were the small wins, were getting me further and further away of who I was. And so it was easier to not only forgive, but also to just look forward and not keep climbing the same freaking mountain. As okay, dude, you climbed the mountain. Let's go do something else. Because that is no longer your identity. My identity, I do not identify as someone that was an alcoholic anymore.
Let's hike the ridge.
Yeah, I had moved past that, and it's been 12 years plus, but it's been improvement. And I believe that entrepreneurship has helped tremendously in breaking away from the matrix of a W-2 job as and then a contractor, and doing my own thing in network marketing and health and fitness, and then exposed to real estate, and we paid off a massive amount of debt after we identified that we had a ton of debt. And so as this journey and finding EXP and saying, hey, not only can I go sell real estate, I can also help real estate agents, and then building a coaching business for myself. Like, we're just stack and just become different people, that forgiveness is found in our transformation.
I absolutely love that. And what I love is getting to the part where you decided that you created this blueprint where you felt, hey, I made this work, and it was work. I figured out a solution. I figured out the steps, and now I want to share with others to help them with their transformation. At what point did you have this internal discovery? Because I love to share this with entrepreneurs, because we're always looking for problems that we can solve for a problem that exists. So you identified that other people obviously have this similar problem, and you identified a solution. So how did you put yourself out there? And I think this could be a tough place to be, where you think, yeah, but I did it for me, but I haven't done it for anybody else yet. So how'd you go from, I solved the problem, I believe in the solution, it's a business?
So we paid off and then eliminated $551,000 worth of debt using Dave Ramsey's baby step principles. 100%. Use me. Don't use me. If you don't use me, use Dave. Like, there's no one else better on the planet. And I've crafted myself to be essentially, you're like, who are you? Hey, if you want to put it on a bumper sticker, Dave Ramsey for real estate agents, right? Because I've taken the number one way for people to start their financial transformation, and I've inserted my own method to help the real estate agent do that and to create stress-free wealth. And so as we went on this journey to put a significant downward pressure on expenses, cut, delay gratification, sacrifice, no, the whole nine yards, all the things that people do not want to do. And I call that lowering the water. We put such a downward pressure on lowering the water. And I didn't have a way to put the opposite increased pressure on raising the bridge to create the delta so the boat could go through, rather than I knew how to reduce my caloric intake, and I knew how I could increase my activity on running on the treadmill. So I could create that physical transformation in the same way with sobriety. However, I didn't have a way to do that with money until I found the world of real estate. Because it doesn't take more money to go make more money in the world of real estate. If you just make enough phone calls, you can sell 1 house, 2 house, 3 house, 4 house, 5 houses, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 houses. It literally doesn't cost any money to do that. It costs time and maybe some cost of sale, but the barrier of entry was so small. And so as I went and did that, very quickly, I got my first $10,000 commission, and I went around the market center that I was a part of in Reston, Virginia, and I started asking top producers and other agents what they would do with their first $10,000 check.
Oh, I love that.
Like,
you gathered in data.
What do you do with your first 10 grand? And I did that a dozen times. And I was like,
tell us a little bit about the answers that you got, though. I want to hear.
I didn't hear invest in real estate and go hire a coach.
Really?
I ended up find a marketing system. I heard pay last year's taxes and next month's car note. And at that moment, I was like, I'm going to go change the real estate industry forever, because there is a path, there is a map, there is a better way for when $10,000 comes in. And what would happen if the real estate agent knew exactly what to do with 10 grand before it hit their bank account? And so I started having conversations with people in my area, with people online. I started converting to, hey, I went from a network marketer to a real estate agent, from a real estate agent to a coach. And I just got really loud and consistent with asking people about their money. That led to me hiring a coach, led me building a framework out that, that now has helped, hundreds and maybe even thousands of people through a journey over the last 5 years.
Awesome, Matt. That's so fantastic. And you love doing it, right? Because it's a business by design with multiple income streams. You're helping, you're impacting people. So what's next in the vision? What's going on for 2025? What do you?
Yes. When you're at that awareness, I had to have an awareness moment. I had it in 2015. And I had someone that I love and trust that hit me right between the eyes. I make a Facebook post every now and then. The person wants the truth until the truthful person strikes a chord with their not able to.
I remember that post.
Right? Really? Is that reality? Yeah, it is reality. And when we were in 19, we couldn't see 25. We couldn't see it. However, I could put it on paper. It's like, why do we start asking questions? I think this is a great exercise, especially in the season that we're in, right into the year's time. Is asking yourself a question is, why do you live where you live? If you could live anywhere, where would it be? And what would have to be true for you to live there? Because this is our home, right? And it's either kids, it's generally all kids or work, right? Friends will come and visit, right? You don't live there because of friends. You built friends because you lived there. And so we got really crystal clear that we didn't need Northern Virginia for what we needed Northern Virginia for, which was to go make money. And because we didn't have any debt, we were 100% debt free. And so we started asking ourselves bigger questions, and it turned into, we like weather, and we don't like inclement weather, and we like no taxes, and we like sunshine. And that led us to Las Vegas.
Top 3 list. Yeah.
Sports knee, right? And people are like, why did we move to Las Vegas? And I'm like, hold on, let me go to my backyard and show you. And weather, taxes, outdoor quality of life, golf 200 days a year. That was why we moved to Las Vegas. And so we started building what was true. And I couldn't see $250,000 a year business, but I needed to at least get halfway there to earn the right. And so now, and it grew into that and then plus. And so where I am today is we're here in Las Vegas. I hired a new business coach last fall to help me go to the next mountaintop because I couldn't see $1 million. I couldn't see $3 million. I mean, I could see what was in front of me, but I was like, how in the world do I get there? And I'm doing the math. I'm like, that's entirely too many phone calls. I can't do that. And do what I want to do, right? Play 200 rounds of golf a year, right?
Yeah, I can take it. Correct.
And so I had to build a new system. I had to keep stacking and raising my lid and keep stacking on top of that to where next year will be north of 7 figures. And 5 years from now, we have a goal to have the house paid off and start the next journey to our Oz, which is houses and living in other places of the country, not tied to a camera or a phone. And essentially, and what I've coined as what is your throw the phone in the ocean moment, to where we don't have to make any social media posts. Like, it is game over. Jess knows where I am. If she wants to come hang out, we know and where we're going to be. And that's the next 10-year journey. But it takes another person. And I wholeheartedly believe that 10X is easier than 2X. You got to find the right crews that are going to help you get there. And that's the journey that we're on is 10X.
Did you hire Dan Sullivan as your coach?
No, what I did I did some $50 and bought 3 of his books. But again, that's the thing, right? For life, I've 2X. But if I look back in the last 20 years, I've 10X'd.
Yes.
Or in the last 5 years.
One book specifically, the 10X is easier than 2X, when they talk about the financial guy. And he's like, how in the heck am I going to go from here to here? And it was higher ticket client, right? And doing the thing that the people you're surrounded by don't believe is possible because they can't see it. Yeah. So what you said there is so key. And I think dig into that a little bit more. We can't count on everyone we're surrounded by unless we count on ourselves to put ourselves in the room where we're surrounded by the people that believe in us. And so it's a mirror. So what advice would you give to an entrepreneur that is not yet in that room where people help them think bigger, or they don't have that high ticket coach? One is go get the coach, but 2, your coach. What advice would you give for people to think through or to envision, like whatever you shoot for, you're going to hit, right? Most of the time, if you're doing the work.
Or
so we're only aiming for this high.
Every time.
Yeah. And if you're only aiming this high, that's probably where you're going to hit. So how do you go bigger? What would be one actionable thing that you would give to entrepreneurs in the audience?
So I want you to put yourself, and before you even put yourself in 2027 or 2032 or whatever it is, I want you to write down everything you want to have, right? I think a lot of us have heard or like the be, do, have, right? Who do you have to be? What do you have to do to have the things you want? I want you to reverse that. And what do you want to have? And what do you want to do? And who do you want to become? And I think that will put you in a place to where you can start to envision what instead of going at the board, right? Because our next 45 days as we got 2025, we've got an election, all of this stuff that's going to be coming at us. I've got to get around that to see 2025. I've got to go around that to see the golf club, the paid for house overlooking the Pacific Ocean in Cabo. Go around this to get to that. But you have to understand where you are. Where do you want to go? Turn around, look back, connect the dots, and find the who or find the room on your next step to get into, right? Is it for us? Is it say, hey, how can I get to Miami for EXPCon? How can I get to the Cabo event? How can I get in the room that Matt's going to be in? I might not be able to afford the coaching, but hey, you know what? I seen on social, he's going to be at Pite's event. How can I get into Pite's event so I can see Matt? Right? How can I get my stuff? Whatever. Where's Jess going to be? Hey, Jess, where are you going to be? I can't afford coaching or this, but I can afford taking you to coffee if I can drive to the event that you're going to be at in Southern California.
You just was a golden ticket right there.
You have to just solve for X. And you just have to figure out the unfigureoutable because everything is figureoutable, right? But right now in your season, you're like, I can't get there, or I don't want to do that. I don't have the money to figure it out, right? There's 200 books here that I could sell for $5 each. That's $1,000.
It's collapsing time.
Right. And I believe that I heard this from Myron Golden. Myron doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. At Funnel Hacking Live in 2019, that the most expensive thing that an entrepreneur has in their business is not expenses. It's not payroll. It's not taxes. It's not anything that costs money. It's because Jess makes $1 million and Matt makes 100,000. And my biggest expense is that I don't know how to make $900,000 more. Because Jess has figured out how to make $100,000 10 times faster than me. And so my biggest expense, your biggest expense right now is collapsing that time and figuring out how to increase the velocity of your income so that when you do sit down and you do plan your money, you're like, great, I can take this amount of money because I can go raise the bridge. I can go make an extra 3 sales. I can take that money. I can pay off this credit card. I can get rid of the IRS the next quarter. I can get rid of the car the next quarter. And the next thing you just made $750 or $1 million that you made $100,000 the year before, all because you collapsed and compressed time, not expanded it because of a limiting belief that you could only do this many sales in that much time. And get into those rooms along the way and find the Matt, find the Jessica, find the whoever that is doing what you were doing or what you want to do, and just stay on their coattails and stay on their hip. And I promise you'll get there with proximity.
Absolutely. It's amazing what you can learn by just studying people's behavior if you can't afford yet to hire them as your coach. For example, Matt, you offered like a 4-day workshop in the last week. Was it 4 days?
Yeah.
4 days. That's
4-day workshop.
So that's 5 hours. I won't ask you what you're coaching. Maybe there's tiers or whatnot, but 5 hours with Matt, where I can imagine the amount of people that were invited or would say they might come, and then the amount of people that actually come. You've got a room of people that are committed to be in that room, and not all of them can afford maybe all the coaching, but smart ones with little money that are taking this advice that you're giving now. You can get into proximity with someone like yourself for 5 hours, learn, and even ask enough questions to get you on your way, truly, if you implement, to make enough money to hire any car.
What a decade ago, could you imagine what it costs to be financially coached one-on-one with Dave Ramsey or Grant Cardone or Robert Kiyosaki or Glenn Sandberg, right? Millions of dollars. Russell Brunson, right? You can't pay that much, right? For 1 hour. However, there are people out there that offer it for free. right, that have come through all this stuff, that have paid the tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to get that training. And so when I went through and we paid off $500,000 worth of debt a decade ago, I was doing all the free stuff, right? I was listening to the podcast. I was reading the books. I was renting it from the library. I was watching it on YouTube until I had enough money to go hire a business coach. And then what I pay a business coach today is way different than what I pay a business coach 5 years ago.
100 billion%. Yeah.
And
I've been on this journey.
But I still read the stuff, right? Read
Oh, I'm reading my book. Oh my God, we have the same book in our hand. Like, that. You know why? You know why we both have this book? I'm going to take a guess. When I see brilliant people read specific books, what do? I read that book because they're reading it for a reason in the moment. And one of my favorite mentors, he prescribes books like it's like he pulls out the pad and he's like, yep, this is what I want you to read so you can have an understanding and then we can explore it further. So what's your top book right now, Matt, that you would prescribe to an entrepreneur from the financial component?
Oh, hands down. One, my ebook, self-plug, shameless.
Definitely. One's there.
22-page downloadable book that'll walk real estate agents through. But if you look at it like a traditional book.
What's the book? What's the website for the book?
mattplumer.com/ebook. So that's just an easy one. But if you look at financial books, you got to read The Total Money Makeover. You got to read Psychology of Money. Obviously, I think you should read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, even though
Sure.
I don't think it's necessarily the place that everyone should start. I think that is a book that you need to read. I think it's a framework that you want to run things through. But again, if you've got $100,000 worth of debt, like The Total Money Makeover, or if you need help with making money, like 10X is easier than 2X, or the 10X rule, or The One Thing, 12 Week Year, any of those books to help you get started, to get you in the moment, and then the other things to help you go in the future, I think are just pure gold.
I love that. So we've got EXPCon coming up. You're going to be out networking, meeting with people. You've already given some good advice, like schedule a coffee date. One of the things we hear from many people that are worthy mentors that don't mentor many people is that not many people ask them. Like, not all people that are brilliant at things have figured out blueprints and maybe even have blueprints, have a coaching business, or are very accessible. So that's one way that I've caught time for myself is, and I hear from agents, they'll say, I don't really know what to ask if I can talk to them. That's where you go with the awareness. What are your problems? What are your challenges? Does it align with the person? Have they solved the problem? And then you'll know what to ask. But give some advice. What does your networking look like at EXPCon? Because I'm very intentional about EXPCon. I'm not going to put the number out there, but we know how much we're going to probably spend going to EXPCon, right?
Yeah.
Because I've earned that, right? Not everybody maybe is going to have the same budget when they go. However, it's part of my business plan, what I'm going to do at EXPCon. So give us a couple of your top tips that you'd give an agent going to spend the money, invest in themselves to go to EXPCon. What should you be intentionally planning for?
So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to write down 5 people you want to meet. You want to meet, if you're going to EXPCon, do you want to meet Tina Cole? Do you want to meet Phil Stringer? Do you want to meet Matt Plumer? Do you want to meet Jessica? Do you want to meet Britt Gove or Gene Frederick? Right? Who do you want to meet? Do you want to meet Glenn or Leo? One, you're not going to meet them unless, number one, you write it down. You got to be intentional. 2, what are the things that you want to get out of and receive? What do you want to receive? Do you want to hear Jesse Itzler and the gentleman that wrote Unreasonable Hospitality? I think is the name of the book.
He's amazing. Yeah.
Do you want to meet this?
11 Emmys too. Last couple weeks.
Do you want to learn more about referrals? Do you want to learn more about agent attraction? What do you want to learn and get out of the event? And have a plan to go into it. And do you want to learn about money? Right? There's going to be a couple thousand people there. Half the attendees have probably heard my name somewhere around EXP that says Matt Plumer is a financial coach, right? So reach out and say, hey, can you introduce me to X, right? If anyone wants an introduction to Brent Gove that is either in or around this organization, like Brent's a great friend. And that's one of the things that Brent talks about is like, there's a really good chance that I'm going to have coffee every day at EXPCon at the Starbucks in the hotel. Show up.
For sure.
And so my intentionality is I want to get there. I want to get there early. I want to stay there. I don't necessarily stay late, but I want to get there early. I want to get a lay of the land. And I'm like, hey, this is the hotel where I see Glenn and Leo coming in and out of. Great. I'm going to put myself where they have to trip over me to get to their Uber, right? And they're going to hit Starbucks on the way to the conference center, right? Or the convention center. So I'm going to make sure I'm up at the gym at 4:30. I'm going to make sure I'm dressed at 6. I'm going to make sure I'm at the Starbucks at 6:30. I'm going to have my EXP thing. I'm going to have my journal. I'm going to have my coffee. I'm going to have 2 or 3 tables, and I'm going to invite people to have conversations with and ask them about their business. You do not know, especially if you've been at EXP and for a shorter period of time than we have, or if you just don't know who it is, you have no idea who you're going to sit down next to.
Never.
You
Amazing.
don't know. Especially if you have been somewhat unplugged or just head down telling 24 houses, you have no idea. And you sit down next to Tina Cole or Dan Beard or Jeff Williams or Brett Gove or Matt Plumer, right? Or whoever. You have no idea what you're about ready to hear if you just asked a question.
And listen and ask questions. I'll never forget a couple of EXP cons ago, and this goes for any conference. If you're an entrepreneur, we're talking EXP con because we love ourselves some EXP, but any conference, this is the last for lots of advice. Right, exactly. So just as an example, but I'll never forget I was sitting and there had these old tables that tucked away, and I thought, I need a brain break. I'm going to go sit and just catch up for a second and breathe. And these twin boys came over that looked like they're teenagers, and they sit next to me and they're like, hey, who are you? What do you do? What do you know? Oh, my Lord. From hide here. They were Will Fenden's sons, and they're brilliant guys, and they all work in a family business. And then I met Will, and we got connected, and it's what a blessing to even know him, to know his story. And some of the things that he shared have been so impactful, like with my curiosity about things that I'm doing. But if I hadn't been open, and if these young guys hadn't just sat down and asked the questions. So it's absolutely amazing. And Matt, we met on a plane. So we'll end it with that. Hey, what do you do? And here we are. So yeah, it's been a blessing to get to know you. I'm excited to get to know you more. I'm excited to share you out with everyone. I will definitely be sharing all the links below. So check it out. If you're listening to this or you're watching this, check out the links below. Get connected with Matt at any level. Like I said, like you can get access to people, get in proximity with them, and then understand the value, and then truly plug in and invest in yourself. Investing in yourself can even just be buying the materials or taking the time to listen, but time costs money. So if you want to get connected with Matt on a professional level as a coach, that's his time costs money, but he's giving everything else away for free. So it's the investment in yourself to take the time and connect. So Matt, what would you leave us with for the entrepreneurs of the world?
There's so much, but I think ultimately at the end of the day, I started it off with, it's okay to be where you are. It's not okay to stay there. Regardless of how much money you're making or where you're hearing this in what season. And so my encouragement is to go out and push through the demons that you have or the stuff that's weighing you down. Because I will promise you this, every level has its own devil. And regardless in $5,000, $50,000 or $5 million, there's always something that is holding that person down. And just know that the decision to change is so quick and it can be so impactful that a decade ago, right? A decade ago, I was 300 pounds. And today we live in a gorgeous house. We live in Las Vegas. Our life looks completely different. And there's still things that we want to do differently, and know that that decade, the next 10 years is going to go by so fast, and it's going to go by whether you like it or not. So you might as well buckle down and do the work and enjoy it, because it's going to happen. And know that you're only a decision away. One of my coin phrases is you're only one budget away. And that's a budget of your time, your money, your relationships, your business, and just absolutely go out there and smash it. Because at the end of the day, this is all just a map, and it's all math. And so much of our life can change. If we just slow down, look back, connect the dots, and figure out what our next step is and just go do it, you can go get whatever it is that you want. So thank you again for having me on today, Jessica.
Yeah, I absolutely love Matt. Thank you for inspiring. This is the Reveal podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Nieto. And Matt Plumer, you have absolutely revealed the absolute blueprint in the beginning for anyone to jump in. So thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. What an insightful and empowering conversation with Matt Plumer. I hope that you are still listening, which means that I truly delivered on bringing this master class to you with Matt today. His journey from overcoming his financial and health challenges to becoming this beacon of guidance for so many entrepreneurs is so inspiring, and I hope it was helpful to you today. He's shown us that financial transformation does not have to be so overwhelming. It's not a mountain to move. It starts with one decision, one plan, and one step forward. And a lot of us, despite working so hard, we find ourselves stressed out by financial challenges or not hitting the goals that we set for ourselves. But instead of getting all caught up in the stress, we need to focus on finding solutions. And that's exactly what this episode helped us all do. So this episode reminds me of a quote that I love by Sheryl Sandberg, who's a tech executive and philanthropist. And she says, "We cannot change what we are not aware of. And once we are aware, we cannot help but change." And Matt's strategies remind us that no matter where we start, financial peace and success are within reach when we make intentional decisions and take action. So if Matt's strategies and mindset shifts resonated with you, be sure to check out his free ebook at www.mattplumer, that's plumer.com/ebook. And you can also connect with him on Instagram at Coach Matt Plumer for more tips and inspiration. And stay connected with us on Instagram. We've got a live event coming to you not too long from now. So reach out to me on that. Thank you all for listening. And please subscribe to the Reveal podcast and leave us a review. Stay inspired, stay focused, and keep chasing those dreams. Until next time, we'll see you.